Well, welcome back to part 2 of constructing a miller table out of scrap metal and some parts I've bought, but mainly scrap. I built the main structure of it in part 1. Go and check that out if you haven't seen it. And so overnight I painted the header box. Just give it a quick coat of black. It's not a perfect finish by any means, but better than nothing. And we're going to fit the rubber seal inside it. It's a bit V-matting, and assemble the spray bar. So I've assembled the spray bar into the header box, and we're ready to fit that now. I've put a couple of sponge baffles each side, polystyrene or whatever they are, to compress and help seal the box. And if you remember, I had a little clearance on one side. I've put a little strip of rubber in there. I'm hoping I can get that in when we fit it now. And then we've got to wire it and plumb it up, and then see if I've got this gap correct. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we're going to have to remove this box again and trim an ever so slight amount off this edge. We're going to try it first and see what it's like. Check them all by hand. This is the sealing bit. It's tight. It's tight. It's tight. So it's looking real nice. I'm quite happy with it. We've got a really tiny, the mat's not even sitting down properly. The water might push that mat down and just make it just nice, because I've hardly got any well, there probably is 2mm clearance, probably 2mm clearance there. And maybe when the water pressurizes, it'll press that mat down and maybe just be right. Now, if you remembered, I made a mistake on the fabrication, and I managed to slot just a piece of V-matting in there, in that gap. Let's just trim that off, just to stop water splashing up that side. And that should solve that issue. That's my only real mistake. And of course, not cutting the matting square has left me a little gap. Now, in my sluices, the gold migrates to the sides in the riffles. I don't know if that'll happen the same on a miller table. If it does, it's just the mat's outable anyway, so I can just pull the mat out and put it in a pan. But I'm pretty happy with how it's going so far. It's looking the part. So the main structure is done. Now, this is the most suitable water container that I've found it to fit in, but it's a bit tight, and the actual adjustment knobs foul the sides of the box. So I'm going to put the miller table on blocks of wood so it raises it enough to leave these exposed. Not ideal, but it'll do for testing today. So now we're on to wiring up, fitting and wiring up the pump and plumbing. So wiring and pipe work to allow it to put water onto the table. It's getting exciting. So this is the pump I've bought for the miller table. It was probably the cheapest on eBay I could find, and probably too powerful. It's 1100 GPH, and it was cheap. It was £13, so I just bought it. And that reducer hose was £11. That was nearly the cost of the pump. So that's where the money's gone on this one. I've put that band around the pump just so I can mount it onto the chassis. I'm just going to couple of cable ties around that bottom chassis rail and around the band, and that'll locate the pump, stop it moving. We're going to feed the pump out the back like that, and we've just got to connect a piece of pipe from there to there. Let's pull the wire in through there. So that's looking doable, isn't it? Nice and neat. So let's get cable tie in and find some Jubilee clips now and some pipe that's going to fit. Plumbing. So I found this great piece of washing machine pipe. It's just about the right diameter for this. I've put a bit of plumber's tape around there to help with the seal. We're going to clamp that up and hope it seals. It's not quite right, obviously, but we'll soon see if it leaks. And that end's fitting on there. So let's see if we can find some clips now to fit, which is what I'm lacking at the moment. So that is the pump plumbed in. Got a piece of old washing machine pipe, and that just managed to fit it perfect. I haven't secured the pump in, it's just a couple of cable ties. Now we're onto the wiring. That's about the max you can tilt it, but I think that is way more of an angle than you'll ever need for miller table. I wouldn't even probably have that angle for a recovery sluice, because I've made this reversible matting to do fine gold recovery as well, like a clean-up sluice, but mainly we're going to use it as a miller table. So we'll do some wiring now, and it'll be its first test run, but I haven't got the speed controller yet, so it's just going to do it full blast, but it'll be a good test. Now, so I've mounted the plumbing, the pump wiring, tidied all the wiring coming from the pump. I've put blocks of wood in there just to raise the whole miller table out, because it was fouling the level controls. It's still not quite high enough, but workable. I need a bigger box really, but it's quite a compact unit. I want to find a nice tray now to fit in the front to catch the black sands. And I haven't mounted the pump down in case I've got to take it off yet, but that'll have a cable tie around supporting it on the base. We've got the wiring coming out the back ready to wire up, which will be the speed controller on here, but I haven't got the speed controller yet, so that's what we're waiting upon now, the slow boat from China for the speed control. But I am going to just put it straight to a battery and see what it works like. But it's quite a compact unit. I quite like the look of it. Let's see what it works like. What it compacts down to. You can really take that anywhere. Right, I think it's time to fill the tub up with water and put it on and see what it's working like. So I filled it with water, overfilled it. We're just putting the level on there, and I'm not quite level, so we're going to try and level it up with the height adjusters now. So, not bad with the level there, so we are going to start it up. Well, I'm sure you saw the disaster that I did Without a speed controller, we have got no hope. Yeah, it's just flew all the water straight out. So I'm still waiting for my speed controller. So that's the end of today's messing about until I get a speed controller. So I've now found a great catchment tray for the front, and I'll probably drill a series of holes across the back about 2/3 up to let the water back into the main box. But that's going to catch all the black sand and not contaminate the main box, so your pump isn't sucking black sands, and you can just clean them out and check you're not losing any gold or whatever. So that's great. Just waiting on the speed controller now. That's it. So now I've drilled a load of holes in that removable front tray so the water seeps back to the main component, but still catches all your black sands, so you can reclaim them without contaminating the pump water. So it's all looking good now. We're just waiting for the speed controller, which is frustrating because it's late coming, and I really would love to fettle with this and get it working so we can chuck some sand on it and look at some gold. But we'll have to wait till part 3 for that.